All right, everyone, here we are. It's July the 12th. It's our Zoom call. We're so excited to be doing Zoom and learning how to use it, especially me. And this call is specifically about our Niken technologies. And you will find that most people join Niken because of the technologies. Either they've had a miracle in their own life, or they've seen miracles happen in others' lives, and they've seen their own health improve. And so we know that our business, being in the network marketing industry, is to share good news or, share the good word or however you like to see that and really bring this forward to the world to advertise and to market these technologies, which we feel everybody needs and nobody has. And the question is to be able to teach people why they may need these technologies that they may have never heard of before. And there are many ways to talk about our technologies, but the most important thing are our stories. We do love to explain it. We do love the science of it. And so I'll just say that on a call yesterday with some of my Team Kaizen group, we were talking about this book called Infinite Mind. And it's The Science of Human Vibrations by Valerie Hunt. And this has an amazing story in it about what happens when you reduce in a controlled study magnetic fields and what happens to people, how they become physically weak, emotionally distraught, mentally unfocused and confused, and just in a sort of a dire place. And how when you bring the magnetic field back to them, they feel physically strong and buoyant, emotionally empowered and healthy, and mentally alert and focused. This is one of the first books I ever read when I very first started Niken. It just came into my life. I don't even remember how. But when I read that and many other stories in this book, I was absolutely entranced. And so for me, one of my favorite things about the Niken products is that they don't just help us physically, but they help us emotionally and mentally as well. And that's very important to grasp. Another book that has made a huge impact on my life and with my Niken career is this book. It's called Cross Currents. Cross Currents: The Perils of Electropollution and the Promise of Electromedicine, again by a scientist, Dr. Robert Becker. And this book, I have marked many, many places in it. And it is absolutely extraordinary how he talks about the discovery of the magnetic field being so beneficial and crucial for human life on our planet. He says that's the most important discovery of the century. And he wrote that in the late 1900s. The most important discovery of the century. And he speaks a lot about the dangers of electronics, radio waves, waves that the military use. And of course, this was even before Wi-Fi, which is a very, very serious problem for us because we are made of waves and particles. We are electrical. This gentleman wrote The Body Electric, which proved that the body is electrical. And so when we confuse electrics, we get sick with other electrical currents that aren't conducive to life. And when we give the body back life energy, the right electrics, body thrives. It's not complicated, but it's very exciting and it's very new. And this is what we see with our technologies. We build our business on stories, sharing our stories of what's happened to us. So I'm going to start a little bit, and then I'm going to put this out to everyone else to share a story or two, whatever comes to them. And, I've been involved with Niken for 21 years, so I have a bazillion stories of miracles. I heard one just 2 days ago about a woman who hadn't walked without a cane for 7 years and sat on a Niken Kenko seat, which I'm sitting on right now, and put these insoles under her feet, which I have under my feet right now, one of them anyway, this one I'm showing you. And after half an hour, she got up and walked across the room without her cane and burst into tears and said, I haven't done that for 7 years. She has all kinds of problems, that we could name by many names. But the point is, she could walk without her cane. Now, we hear those kind of things all the time. For me, I didn't believe in this, even though my background was in energy medicine from Japan. But it was in the focus of diet through macrobiotics and other modalities, not through magnetics or far infrared or other technologies we use. So I had no belief in this, and I didn't want it to work because I didn't want to do network marketing. I didn't want to feel like I had to do network marketing. Now I love network marketing. I wouldn't do anything else. But when I first was shown it, I was scared of network marketing, so I didn't want the product to work because I thought it would make me feel obligated to share it. Well, my back was hurting a lot the night that I went to that presentation 21 years ago. And interestingly enough, that was an injury I'd had from ballet for 20 years. 20 years. And I couldn't sit in a seat very well without hurting greatly. And my friend was sitting next to me, and she had, and I'm wearing mine right now, she had with her what we call the far infrared belt, and what we called at that time a back flex, and now we call a mag flex, which fits inside. And she gave this to me and said, put this on your back. And I laughed and said, your silly little magnet's not going to do anything for my back. I was very scornful, not very polite, which for an English girl is kind of unusual, actually. But that's just how I felt. I didn't want it to work, but it worked anyway. Despite everything, within about 10 minutes, I went from agony to feeling totally normal without standing up and doing calisthenics, walking around, moving my body, without any of it, just sitting in a chair, just with the earlier version of this. This is a better version. This has 3 technologies: magnetics, far infrared, and negative ions. It's called triphase. In the olden days, we just had magnetics in the back flex. But she had the belt, which was the far infrared. And so I did have 2 out of 3 of the technologies working for me, and it worked. And that night, I said, my goodness, 8 out of 10 people have back problems. And this is safe, non-invasive, non-chemical, highly efficient. It's working in 10 minutes, and it's convenient. People don't have to change their lives, their lifestyle to use it. And that was what got my attention about the business, because in macrobiotics, you were teaching people to change their diet. And I cannot even begin to tell you the level of resistance you would get when you suggested to people to stop eating meat or dairy food or sugar or alcohol or you name it. There was tremendous resistance. So compliance was always an issue with macrobiotics, even though we knew it could help people cure themselves of major things, because the body will cure itself if given the right tools. With this, I saw, oh my goodness, what kind of resistance are you going to get to this? Not much. All you have to do is put it on, and it's going to help. And that made me realize that this was a multi-million-dollar business, personally. Now, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. Niken's done extraordinarily well with magnetics. Started with magnetics. Then they went into developing far infrared technology. Then they went into developing water, alkaline PyMag water, microstructured. Then they went into developing air, not just any old air system, but a system that would take out viruses and bacteria and molds without producing ozone as a byproduct and bringing negative ions into the atmosphere, which are very, very health promoting. So this company keeps moving forward with new and new technologies. And now we have a huge nutritional range, an organic range that is really exemplary. I take those every day, and I'm sure everybody on this call does. And now we have an amazing skincare line that we can really work with too, that's fully organic and pure. So hopefully one day we'll have makeup. Hopefully one day we'll have other things. But we know that every year or so, Niken brings out new, either an advanced version of something like this, which started just as a magnetic product when Niken became the first company in Japan to become $1 billion company, the fastest company in Japan to do that. And they produce a better version, or they produce something new. They bring us something new. So we're always upgrading. And I love that because it keeps our business very dynamic and really cutting edge. And that is what we're doing, is we really are teaching people how to take care of their own lives through self-care, through eating well, have to do that, exercising, that's a requirement of a healthy life, and bringing in these technologies to create a wellness environment or a wellness sanctuary in their homes, in their cars, a safe haven where they can thrive. Why do we thrive in these fields? Because as is learned through epigenetics, which was discovered in Cambridge in England in the late 1930s by a gentleman called Conrad Waddington. I love his name. And he was a biologist and a geneticist. And he wrote a book called The Scientific Advantage. And in that book, he wrote about what he had discovered about epigenetics. What does that mean? That every cell of your body and mine, every gene, every aspect of DNA changes and morphs according to the environment that it is in. In other words, your environment is not just what you eat and drink. It is literally what you surround yourself with. The right kind of water, the right kind of air, the right magnetic field, the right solar power energy with full spectrum lighting. I have a full spectrum light right here. It's always on. And not because there isn't light outside, but there isn't full light coming through the window. Because on windows, they put special stuff to stop that. So we need full spectrum light inside. So Nikken keeps developing and developing these technologies. And we know that our world right now is not safe. It is toxic. It is toxic from chemicals. It is toxic from the air. There's a new article that's just come out on how bad air and obesity are totally related. Very interesting article. I suggest you read it. And we have EMF fields that are extremely toxic. Probably the most toxic thing that we've developed in the last 20, 30 years, depending on how much of an early adopter you were. But the Wi-Fi particularly is very, very harmful to our electrical system. It is a different wavelength that we do not connect to. And because it's that environment that we are now swimming in, cells and genes are changing according to the environment they're in. This means that the fact that we have 1 out of 2 men, I think it is now, and 1 out of 3 women that are going to get cancer in their lifetime, there is a reason for that. The environment is no longer sustainable for life. And that's what we're seeing. What we're teaching in Nikken, so importantly, so critically, is that you must have the Earth's magnetic field to live and thrive. And not just survive, but to thrive. You must have far infrared from the sun, the ray of light that is the most living ray of light that you can't live without. We must have full spectrum light or we get very sick. We must have alkaline water, the right kind of water that's microstructured and magnetized and mineralized that is a food for our body. We are 70 to 90% water, the brain being 90% water. You could recover a lot of problems just by drinking the right kind of water and enough of it. We must have the right kind of negative ion-rich air, like we get by waterfalls and by the ocean. This is what we're teaching. We are passionate about it. Why we don't want to see 1 out of 2 people getting cancer in their lifetime. We want to see people be healthy. And not just physically healthy, but emotionally healthy and mentally healthy and spiritually healthy. This is what we feel we need on our planet. We need a peaceful world, and healthy people are peaceful people. And that is a very, very important point. Unhealthy people do terrible things. Peaceful people do good in the world. And we want to bring more goodness into the world. So with that, I could tell you a bazillion stories, and I won't, from my own life of 21 years with these products, from my children's lives, and many, many, many other friends and co-workers that I've met who have had miracles with the Nikken products. So what I'd like to do is open it up and see if you would like to share, those of you who are on the call, share for the benefit of those who will be watching this later, and for us also, a story or two that you have with anything, the nutritionals, the skincare, the water, anything you like, so we can hear some other, how it's applicable in your life. So, Eric, why don't we start with you? Can we start with you? Would you share something?
Sure.
Great.
Of course, I start with the same problem that you have, which is a long experience in almost everything, but I suppose the thing that immediately comes to my mind is simply the transformation which comes from having high quality restful sleep. And I used to be a famous sleeper, and I could fall asleep anywhere and I could sleep through anything. And I think I followed a fairly common pattern in the modern world, which is the dish, and I'd sit down in the living room on the sofa and I'd probably be asleep within, I don't know, half an hour. And then Dahlia would wake me up later and take me to bed, and then I'd wake up in the morning. And if you counted the number of hours, it would actually be quite substantial, given that I fell asleep at 9:30 or something. And yet I would still be tired. And looking back, it was always that way. When I was at university, I could sleep on the weekend until and it never occurred to me that there was anything unusual in that, because it had always been that way. And so I always assumed that was my genetic predisposition, that's the way my life was going to be. And in fact, I even remember that I used to have 2 alarm clocks, one next to me and then one on the other side of the room for when I turned the one off next to me and went back to sleep.
Very
so
you're cutting in and out a little bit, just so you know, you're cutting in and out a little bit. But what I think we all heard is that you slept a lot longer than most people and could sleep almost anywhere at any time. So your problem was not that you didn't get to sleep; it was that you slept too much. But
I think the lesson that I had learned was that it almost didn't matter how long I slept; I would never feel rested. Yeah. And that was the transformation when we got our sleep system. In fact, again, different kinds of people in the world. We got our sleep system because we'd seen so many benefits with and they were 3 months into having our sleep system when Dada said to me, "Have you noticed anything different about sleeping on the sleep system?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Have you noticed that it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you haven't fallen asleep and you haven't fallen asleep?" And I realized that, step by step, incrementally, I hadn't noticed. But of course, the transformation was huge. And I had basically got my evenings back.
That's so wonderful. That's fantastic.
And that then went on to the point where now I wander around in the early hours of the morning thinking, well, I suppose I ought to go to bed in order to get enough sleep. And I don't bother setting an alarm clock. And I get up before I need to, unless it's 4 o'clock in the morning to go for a flight or something. And I naturally of a concept that we've come across through the neurologist from Oxford, whose name escapes me just at the moment, who has a concept called social jet lag. And he defines social jet lag as being the difference between natural from when our bodies want to wake up naturally and when we force an alarm. And the difference between those 2 times he defines as social jet lag, and explore what that means to our bodies and our health in terms of that artificial awakening, not having enough recuperation, not getting quality sleep, and so on.
You're thinking of Dr. Foster. You're speaking of Dr. Foster.
Russell Foster, yes. And so he that's become one of his focuses of research, because, of course, almost nobody in the world wakes up naturally when they want. Almost everybody has to wake up using an alarm clock in order to get to work, in order to get to school or whatever. And so the health effects, when you're talking about cancer and, there's so many other health effects and heart disease and diabetes and so on, which are also sleep dependent. If we are living our lives sleep deprived, we will see that consequence in our overall health. But we won't necessarily make the immediate connection. It takes a scientist to be able to say, well, actually, we are seeing these outcomes. Now look at what we're doing that brings them about.
Yes, because everything is connected. So, Eric, I'm going to stop you there. Thank you. You've gone in and out a lot on the computer, so we missed quite a bit of what you said, but I think we caught some of the salient points. So I'm going to move on, but thank you so much. I know you also had issues with headaches for many years, and they've gone away. That's correct? Yeah.
No, I mean, we're a family of 4. I could fill the time just with our own experiences, let alone anybody else that we've helped. So
absolutely, I know, and you've helped many, many thousands of people by building an enormous team of people, and you've been an extraordinary leader in Nikken. And thank you for that, because it means the bigger the network you built, the bigger the impact you have on the people of our planet. So it's really thrilling. So thank you, Eric. I'm going to move over to Lucy. Lucy, could you jump on now?
Yeah, absolutely, gladly.
Great, thanks.
So Nikken met me now 5, almost 6 years ago. And that was a crucial point in my life because I was finishing my degree, but also I learned when my friend got diagnosed with breast cancer and she was my age, and that really hit me hard. And I realized at that point in my life that I could be the next one in life. And back then it was actually 1 in 5 women who would get breast cancer. So I started to look at life very differently. And although I knew about Niken, that was the moment when I actually took a notice. And when I was sleeping on the sleep system, drinking the water and breathing the air, when it was the time to give it out back, I didn't want to. I could not put a finger on why I didn't want to. So I then had to become a consultant because I thought I cannot be without them. And that's probably what most people actually feel. I'm not scientifically based. I don't really care how magnets work, but I know how I feel. And, you know, I've got in front of my computer always my seat. I've got my light here as well. I spend an awful lot of time in front of the computer because that's how I want to run my business online. Yes. But I cannot be without these technologies because I'm less tired. I've got also drinking a lot of more water than I used to because I like the water more, but also in front of the computer I feel my body needs a lot more water. So being supported on a daily basis, I cannot imagine not to have that. And to be honest, when I compare myself to my friends who are the same age, they are on medications, they are tired, and I feel the same. So for me, when somebody says, well, can you see the difference? Personally, I can't. But when I compare myself to somebody else who is my age group, I know there is a massive difference.
Yes, and you look very young, and you are young. How old would you share? How old you are?
I'm 35.
35. So you're very young, and you're seeing that you have friends who are already on medications at 35.
Yeah.
Wow. For the mind, for the body, for what?
Actually, both. It's quite, and then people I've been meeting recently, there's an awful lot of young people who struggle with their minds.
Yeah.
You know, it's unbelievable, and they can't survive.
Yeah.
And as soon as I put them, you know, the quilt around them, even for the course of a short talk, like an hour, you can see on their faces that you could almost like peel an onion, that the stress is peeling away.
Yes.
It's remarkable. It is
beautiful.
I mean, people need to feel it, because when they just hear it, they go, oh, wow, this is unbelievable.
Yes.
It is, but when they feel it, they know what we're talking about.
Perfect, Lucy. And you're wearing your power band necklace like I'm wearing my power band bracelet.
You know, it's so funny because when I go to friends' houses, I tend to inspire them to get the water. And whenever I go, now I feel like I can drink safe water. I don't have to bring it from my own home.
Yes.
So I'm converting them, but I know they will appreciate it 5, 10, 20 years later. They
yes.
Really, that's what I'm telling.
And our products are amazingly anti-aging. They are so anti-aging, and that's a very exciting quality, the fact to what we have. And we don't know, it's a combination of the sleep, the water, the air, the daytime products. We wear them all the time. People say, do you get addicted to them? And I always say, well, I don't know. Are you addicted to oxygen? Maybe we are addicted to oxygen. We can't live without it. Well, we can't live without these fields either. So that's wonderful. Thank you, Lucy, so much. And that's beautiful. I'm going to move on and see. Let's see. Is Michelle there? Michelle, are you there?
I'm here, Julie.
Fabulous. Hi.
Hi.
So cute. And you're wearing your power band necklace.
I am. I love it. I always sort of go from this one to the silver one if I need to dress up a little bit more. So, but I do, honestly. I mean, I feel such a difference when I put this on. I struggle with neck issues and pain and discomfort. And when I put this necklace on, not only does that subside, if not diminish completely, it does just make me feel better because of the negative ions. And I can consciously, again, I don't really know why, but it works. It does.
And you love the earrings, because I see you wearing the earrings that I'm wearing right now. You wear them a lot too, don't you?
I do. I forgot. I was driving to work this morning and I was like, oh, I forgot to put my earrings in. They're upstairs. And I have a story about those, and I have a story about the seat I'd like to share quickly. I have struggled with seasonal allergies for, I don't know, the last 10 years. And they'll manifest as symptoms of a foggy brain, very stuffy sinuses, pressure, headache, and just that foggy brain and the headache. And it's really hard to function. And that's happened. It was probably 3 times a week, no lie, really just completely out of it. And a few months a year. And I read on someone's Nikan blog that the earrings helped because the necklace, it could only do so much. I really feel so. As soon as I got the earrings, their minimal commitment was like $28. Got the earrings, I put them on, and I have not had a headache since. And I mean, it's that powerful. And I think just because they're a little bit higher, they're at the line of the sinuses. Yes. It works. And my friends that are skeptical, I walk into the studio, I'm a Pilates instructor, and I see my one friend with her red eyes and, stuffy nose. And I said, here, try, put these earrings in. And they do. And literally in an hour, they feel better. And it's really powerful. And again, I don't know why that works, but it does.
That's amazing, Michelle. And we met through Pilates. You're my main instructor, and I love it. I love it that you are. And so tell us a little bit about athletics and how you see the products working for peak performance.
Well, I think for an experience like that, any sort of athlete needs recovery, and they need time for their body to heal, especially if they're an endurance athlete. And having the Nikan products as a daily support system is going to help you recover so much quicker than not. You can only drink so much regular water or take so many electrolyte packages. We even have kinesio tape that has the far infrared technology in it to make it more healing and alkalizing for, as a product. And for me, when I as a Pilates instructor, I'm standing a lot, I'm exercising a lot, and my body felt pretty good. And then I started driving a lot and took on a side job where I was sitting, and my body started breaking down. And that is when the company, when you were still my Pilates client. And I remember one day I just started complaining to you, oh my gosh, I started getting sciatic pain from all the sitting I was doing. I had pain in my buttocks, it was going down my leg. And anytime I sat for extended period, I really couldn't stand up fully straight away. It would take me a few minutes to kind of iron out the kinks, so to speak. And you brought the CPAP and you said, hey, I think I have something to help you. And I tried it. And literally the first day I sat on it, I didn't necessarily feel a difference right away, but I sat for about 5 hours, which normally then it would take me a few minutes to stand fully erect. As soon as I got home from sitting, I was doing a long commute driving. And as soon as I got in the garage, I stood up, I walked in the house, hugged my boyfriend. Then it dawned on me, holy cow, I have no pain in my body. I could stand fully erect. And so I haven't taken out of my car since. I love it. It's magical. So anyone who suffers from any sort of sciatic pain, and it was, like you said, it was passive. I didn't have to do anything. And as a Pilates instructor, I know what to do. I know the stretches that I should be doing. And, and I did a little bit of those, but it didn't really affect me as much as the sitting on the pad.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? That the sitting, the stillness of, but being in the magnetic field, and far infrared and negative ions, how that affects us, the muscles and the nerve. It's just so exciting. And I remember that you were so thrilled and you were almost in disbelief. I can't believe I'm just not hurting anymore.
Yes. Yeah. I'm kind of skeptical. So sure. But you can just keep showing me that I'm wrong, again and again, it works. So I'm a believer.
And then I remember, and I know we need to close in a second here. We have just a couple of minutes, but I do remember you helping I think it was when you helped your mother with Samisha and you just started crying on the phone with me and you said, I want to do this. I really get it now. Do you remember that?
I do. Yes, she's struggled with pain. She has lupus and it's been a struggle. She unfortunately doesn't look at the holistic side of healing and alternatives and really, just is committed to doctors and pain medicine and pain shots. And when I've shared the cream with her, I think I gave her the CM cream and a wrist strap to help her. And it was working. And she didn't believe it either. But, she called and told me, she's like, I finally feel better. I can open my hands because she has a lot of arthritis and joint pain in her hands. And it was really heartwarming to hear that it wasn't a pill or a drug and that she was open to it.
It was a very beautiful moment. Because I remember the moment because I was jumping in my car to probably come to Pilates and I remember the emotion in you helping your mom. And often we say in Nikken, it's not when you get into Nikken, it's when Nikken gets into you that it really takes off. When you really realize what you're actually doing in terms of bringing a tremendous blessing to the world, it's a whole other level of depth of understanding and appreciation and gratitude. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We share these technologies with people. It doesn't matter if they believe in it or not. As you can see, everybody, I mean, we didn't believe in it either when we began, and yet it works anyway. It works beautifully. It's life-changing. And we want to change the world. We want to help the world get off all the drugs and the surgeries. Not that it isn't sometimes important. Sometimes we need those things, and we understand that. And we're not against Western medicine. We're just saying there's this whole other realm of self-care that we want people to be advised about. We want to educate so that people can have a choice to be empowered in their own home, in their car, in their office, night and day, with the right environment, the sanctuary, that will really keep every cell in their body singing and happy. And a happy body is a healthy body. And our health is our number one wealth. Our health is our number one wealth. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. You can't work, you can't be with your children, you can't do the things you want to do, you can't climb that mountain, you can't do those things. So it's our primary thing. So give it the value that it deserves. Your health is number one. Never compromise on that. Eat organic and eat well. Exercise every day because our body requires that movement. And use the Nikken Wellness Home technologies. And you'll see your life absolutely transform. So thank you, everybody, for being on. It's a blessing to be with you. And have a great evening for those of you in UK. And a great afternoon here for those in America. And we'll talk soon. And those in Belgium, have a lovely night too. And anywhere else in the world where you might be. And we'll talk soon. Take care, everybody. All the best.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.